Hello everyone, welcome back to Future Cities. This is the last segment of this week. In previous ones, we introduced the concept of information city and big data. As a follow-up, this segment will give you some practical examples to help you get a better understanding of the concepts. Some of our work in Singapore will be presented as examples of making the invisible information visible from big urban data. As mentioned, a great amount of city information is visible. For instance, a map tells you where Singapore is. The pictures give you an idea of how buildings, people, roads looks like in Singapore. The numbers provide more precise and detailed information. Traffic is also visible information. We travel in our cities every day and encounter friends and strangers. The inhabitants of the city produce a constant flow of data. Work in this talk use translation data specifically, which is generated by daily traveling and automatically collected by sensors. In the case of Singapore, every day there are more than half of the population using public transportation system. They travel from more than 4,000 bus stops and stations, which, as you see, covering the whole urban areas. When people tap in and tap out from a stop or station, a trip will be recorded. As shown here are two examples. At the end of the day, more than 5 million records will be generated by smart cards. But we are not interested in how many records has been stored there or how big the data is. We're interested in what we can tell from the data. What are the invisible informations we want to extract it from analysis and visualization? As mentioned previously, this information can be then taken as a basis for observations of how city works and for supporting future decisions. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you 5 examples of invisible information that we extracted from translation data. The first example is patterns of travel behaviors by statistical analysis to help us understand how people travel, how different age groups travel, and how people travel during different times of day for different kinds of activities. With this information, we can provide better translation service. The second example visualizes interchange patterns spatially and temporally. It tells the redistribution of passengers in a traffic network. Circle diagrams represent interchange volumes at a junction, and color codes are assigned to connections within and between junctions. To transport planners, it is very useful tools for querying the situation of traffic flows. The third example is classification of catchment areas by self-organizing map. Collective patterns are used here to understand how different areas attract people in different ways. We use distributions of travel distance as parameters for classification. The result is that we have blue, green, red dots representing different classes of areas. It serves as a profile of urban functions. As mentioned previously about information city, connections can be derived between data, activities, and locations in a meaningful sense by detecting relations between data. This one is a good example. Urban functions which is associated with travel purpose can be inferred from how people travel. It helps us to detect urban dynamics and to evaluate urban functionality. If we know when, where, and what people are doing in the cities, an overview picture of the dynamic city can be gained. Showing here is the last example, urban centrality map. The color shows how central the area is. The red, the center. The centrality is not measured from how many urban infrastructures are built, but from how many people are visiting and doing different activities there. It is a measure of urban function in reality and a measure of lifestyle. Now we have made invisible information visible. With this information, we can have a better understanding of our cities, its functions, its dynamics, its citizens, the lifestyles of citizens, and the interactions between people and built environment. The next step will be moving from information to knowledge. How can we use this knowledge for design and planning to make a more livable urban space? That's the question we'll try to answer, and this is the question I left to you at the end of this segment.